Good morning to our session. We're going to show you something very special today. We have developed a CICD server for ServiceNow. You have heard that ServiceNow wants to support DevOps and CICD in your company, so you could measure your activities on DevOps with ServiceNow. What we did is we developed something on the left-hand side which helps you to send you changes on ServiceNow through a CI/CD pipeline. So it might be we're going to try to skip the boring slides a little bit because we need about 15 minutes for we're going to have a demo, a video. If you're lost, just say something. We'll try to catch you up because maybe it's a lot of information which we're going to show. So, my name is Boris Mörs. I'm a technical architect. I work for Swiss Re. I'm doing this for too long now. And this is?
Hi, I'm Rajiv. I'm a technical lead at Swiss Re, working along with Boris on the DevOps topic. So. Boring slide number one. So a quick look at our company. We are global reinsurers and some numbers. Yeah, that's our mission statement. We make the world more resilient. So, okay. So the interesting slide here. So we started quite early in 2009. We are one of the early adopters of the ServiceNow platform. Like everybody, we started with the IT ticketing, the IT tickets, and the request fulfillment, only for IT. And if you come further down the lane, 2017 and 18, we have the entire enterprise service management on ServiceNow platform. It's not only IT, it's also HR, legal and compliance, real estate services, etc. And we are heading towards the digital service platform further ahead in 2019. So top 3 things you want to look out for through the presentation. First is the need for CI/CD. The second one is our journey, the challenges that we faced, and some tips and mitigations that we have, and then the solution that we came up with. So how do we do ServiceNow development at Swiss Re? So we started, as I said, 2009. And we have like 36 highly customized solutions on the platform. We have 35 developers across the globe, working out of India, Hungary, Switzerland. And we have 3 production instances, one for ITSM, one for ITBM, and one for CSM. And there are, like you see, 8 development instances. Like really, we have even more. These are those development instances which you have to hit so that you have to hit the production. Like there are these long-term projects that run on many other development instances. And then we have like 1 major release every month, and we have 2 minor releases every 2 weeks. Yeah, and then 2 ServiceNow upgrades. So now I'll pass it on to Boris.
I have to mention we do this since 10 years now.
Yeah.
And we started with ServiceNow when most of the application what you see today didn't exist. So we did lots of development on our own. And it's, so to say, a little bit a mess. So we start again now. We have a modernization program. We do everything again. We might kick out some of the processes. And now that we start again, we want to do it right. And in a normal classic software development project, you would maybe try to use CI/CD for that, right? So you have your code in a Git repository, it's in a master branch, and then the developer, when he has to change something, creates a development branch of that, writes some code, and the developer writes also test cases for that. And he runs the test cases locally in his IDE. Let's say this is a Node.js JavaScript application, and if the tests fail, he fixes the issue, and if the tests locally pass, then he pushes his branch to the origin, and there is the CI/CD pipeline listening on that on events on that Git repo. And in that case, it will run and start to do the CI. So, I mean, are you aware of CICD, what it means? Continuous integration, continuous, okay, good. If they fail, the information flow back to the developers. The developer has to then maybe fix something again. And if they pass, it will raise a pull request against master. So another developer or a reviewer has a look then at the pull request and might go back to the developer challenging a little bit, why did you do like that, blah, 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 does it make sense? And if he's happy, he will approve the pull request, which will lead into a merge into master. And then this will trigger the next part of the pipeline, which you go and deploy it, right? So it will be deployed, the merge on master will deploy it to the next environment, so to say. And we do this, we build on branch. So we don't build on master, we build on the branch. It's very important. Because you don't want that the code which is in the master is always what's in production. So you do your tests on the branch. We have developed the CICD server a year ago, a little bit more. We have shown this last year in version 1, which I mean, it worked, but it wasn't perfect. And we invested a lot of time in now version 3. So after we presented version 1, we had a version 2 last year, and now this year version 3. Version 1 was focusing mainly on the CI part. So we were able to run tests, quality checks, and document the code. But then this is more or less where it stopped. But the pipeline can be longer, right? You can do more. You can deploy it to a test environment. You can deploy it to a pre-prod environment. And that's what we want to do now. So the pipeline in the original pipeline looked like this. So what we do is a developer writes code in ServiceNow. Actually, it's captured in an update set. If it's an application or we do other changes, it's more or less always an update set. So that event of closing an update set is sending a message to the CICD server. The blue box here is the CICD server. The CICD server goes and checks out the Git repository from origin, which belongs to that application. Then it's switched to the master branch, it connects to production, and it's refreshing the master branch from production because something might have been changed on production which did not go through the pipeline. And then we create a new branch for that update set in a Git repository. This is all locally. This has nothing to do with ServiceNow. And then we take the content of that update set and put it into a file structure, a folder structure, in that branch. So the files become human readable. There are no XML files anymore. We do JSON files. And if the file contains a JavaScript field, we create a JavaScript file for that. So we can run then standard processes like we lint the JavaScript files, or we can document the JavaScript files with standard tools from the Node.js ecosystem. So then we build the application. We pretend it's a Node.js application. We get an output, we get the results, how is the code quality. We document the code, we create HTML files, and we run the ATF tests from remote. So we know which ATF tests are in that update set, and we run a headless browser in the CICD server. So we open the test runner, and we actually execute these ATF tests in that test runner. And if it all passes, we push the branch to origin, same as on the last slide, and we raise a pull request. Someone is reviewing that, and if he's happy, he's approving that, we merge it, and we deploy it to test. That's what we did so far. Now, in the new version of the pipeline, we are now using standard tools to extend the pipeline. Because in the CICD server, it would be quite complicated to implement a longer pipeline, but there are tools for that. There are standard tools, which you use in standard classic software projects. We use Bamboo internally. We have the Atlassian toolchain, so we have Jira, we have Bitbucket as a Git repo, and we have Bamboo as a build and deployment tool. So what we do is when we approve the pull request, Bamboo is listening on that event against the master branch, and it triggers, and it goes and actually deploys the update set to the test environment. It runs the AHF test on the test environment, and it now runs Tosca tests. We have lots of Tosca tests, which our test engineers have created over the last 10 years, and they used to be started manually, and now we start them automatically. And then we can move the update set to the next environment. So we move it to pre-prod, we can run the tests again there, we could also run Tosca tests, and then we wait for the release train to pass and pick it up and then deploy it on the release date to production. So I have to say we don't deploy it, just deliver it, because the integration admin then has to commit it. It still needs some manual action at the moment on the production side. Clear so far?
Yeah, you want to pause for a minute? Yeah. Just to highlight, all the blue boxes are automated, and all the purple buttons are also automated. There are only two roles here. One is the developer, and then the other one is the reviewer. There is still no admin. It's all automated.
Yeah, exactly. So the reviewer is not on that slide, but the pull request is done by a reviewer. So it's approved by a reviewer. Yes, it has. We have other software projects at Swiss Re also use Bamboo. We have an integration with ServiceNow. Actually, we have a legacy integration, and we have a standard change integration, which is newer, which creates audit just for audit reasons, creates some rackets in ServiceNow. Yeah. Yeah. So, time for a demo. Oh, I have to use this key now.
Yeah.
So we have. Let's see if it plays. Does it play? It plays. Good. Okay. So what we see here is Jira. You don't look at the content of the Jira ticket. It doesn't matter. So, just an example. But it's actually the ticket which was part of the project. Jira, on the right-hand side, the log of the CICD server. That's the only way to show you that it's doing something, because it's running somewhere on the server. And in the background is Slack. The CICD server itself is a Node.js application. It can be scaled. It has something like master worker node concept. So it scales up quite easily. And so let's see what happens. The business process owner is creating this Jira task here, right? And the developer picks it up, takes the Jira ID, and is using this in his update set name. Now, when he's done with his update set, he sets it to complete. And we now hijack this event, so the update set is not set to close complete internally. That's why there is a new type in that drop-down. But it now sent an event via mid-server to the CICD server, which runs on-prem. Please pull my update set and send it to the pipeline. So that's what's happening now. So you see in the background, the request came in. It's now it's checking out the Git. It's cloning the Git repository. It's going into master. It's refreshing all the files from the production. Then it creates a branch for that update set. The branch name actually contains the update set name. And then it downloads all the files from the update set into that branch. And when it's done, it's installing the Node.js dependencies. And then it runs, actually we use Gulp for the internal build part. The Gulp steps are, it's linting the files, it's documenting the files, and via API call, it's talking back to the development environment and starts the ATF tests. So it has a headless browser embedded, and these are the test results here. in the screen, and when it's done and all the tests are green, it's raising a pull request. That's what we see here. So in the Slack channel, Slack is integrated here as well. We see that build has passed, a pull request has raised, the source, the destination environment, and now the reviewer gets also an email. We'll now look this up, open that pull request. Here we are on Bitbucket, and this is the information what this is actually, in a classic software project, you would do that as well, right? So we have the information about the update set, and now the coolest thing about this is the diff. How do you do code review today? Right? You have an update set, someone has to look at the XML files in that update set, open every single one, say compare to current and so. Here, one screen. This is what you get when you use these tools. So on the left-hand side is that folder structure, what I said. And this here is a test case. So someone has written a test case. The reviewer is checking the changes here. This is just for demonstration. It's not really a test case. Then when the comment is sent, it will also show up on the Slack channel again. So we have full transparency. We see who has complained what kind of discussions are going on between the reviewers and the developers. And what you also can do, you can go to the CICD server itself. There's a link to that. And here you see the build result of the embedded part of the server. So we have the application, the update set name, and the build results. And here you see the ATF tests. This is a Mocha in Node.js. In Node.js actually ecosystem. Mocha is something which a library which you can use for testing. This is a screen which looks exactly the same if you run your JavaScript tests. So it's actually, it just looks like it run locally, but it did run in ServiceNow, and we pull the results back and we display it like this. And you can also link to the ATF test results in ServiceNow if you want to see why something failed. It's all in one screen. Then we have a quality report. We use ESLint. This is just one file, some warnings. It also contains the source code. And then we have also the documentation. So we use, you might have seen that in the previous slide, in the code, we use JS doc annotations. So there is there is now something like a boilerplate button in ServiceNow, which we actually added. So you have to install an update set, a server component in ServiceNow for this to run. It needs to have some APIs, which also comes with a button. If you click that button, it adds the JS doc tags for you automatically in JavaScript. So you just have to fill it out, what it means, blah, blah, blah. The rest is already there. So it helps you a lot to actually then generate this here. This also contains the source code itself. So now, let's go back to the pull request. By the way, this is also something I wanted to show you. On the right-hand side, you see the ITSM, the Jira ticket again. So because this is all Atlassian, on the ticket side, you see there is a pull request. You see that also there are some commits for this change, for this ticket. And on the Bitbucket side, you see to which Jira ticket it belongs. So it's end-to-end integrated, and this comes out of the box. So it has been approved, and now it's merged. And this is where we leave that first block. Now we go to Bamboo. In the moment when it's merged, Bamboo will trigger because now there is an event against master. And Bamboo is listening on that Git hook. So this is Bamboo, and a new build has started. So this can take a while. So this is it has to be started on Bamboo itself. This is, in the meantime, what I just said. This is the Jira ticket. You see commits. You see the pull request. Now it has started. We're not going to wait for it to complete, so I cut some of the minutes out here. And so it's deploying it to the test environment. Then it runs the ATF tests on the test environment. Now, not only the ones which were part of the update set, it runs all tests which belong to the application. So we have some regression tests as well. And then when the tests pass, it's running Tosca. So Bamboo has a Tosca plugin. And we have about 500 Tosca tests. And the ones which belong to that application will now automatically be triggered. So we see the ATF tests have completed, and now the Tosca tests run. This actually can take a while because you have to wait for a Tosca runner to be available. Yeah.
Question.
No, they run on the Tosca server. So Tosca it's similar. They also have something like an embedded browser, and then you can define what tests you want to do, and then it's the UI testing actually. It's not a unit testing. You just click. It's like a click streamer. So here are the Tosca results. Also one screen with all the information, and so now the deployment starts. So when the build part has passed, the deployment starts, and we deploy it now to pre-prod. It will also, Bamboo is sending messages back to via Slack. So we see the status of this. So it has been deployed. There are the deployment log information available. And this is actually the slide, the moment I like most. Yeah. The process owner sees now in Jira on what environment the change has been deployed. One page, all information. How cool is that? I mean, it's very difficult in ServiceNow to trace what update set has been deployed to what environment yet, and so on. It's all there.
One point, did you want to talk about the streaming of the...
Oh yeah, now that's also another thing. The update set normally comes, you can deploy it via upload XML, or you can pull it from the source environment. And what we do is we actually wrote a proxy on the source environment which pulls it from the Git repository. So we are actually, you can't change an update set after it has been sent through that pipeline. You will exactly have that on the production environment, which we have in the beginning extracted from ServiceNow.
The one that is approved by the reviewer. Only that should go through. Yeah.
So, that's it. I think the video ends here.
Yeah.
So
the boring slides start again.
That's it? No.
Yeah.
This is sorry, I have to pause.
Version control, he's asking.
Is this on? Oh, you have one?
Yeah, if you guys want, just raise your hand. I'll bring you the mic. Not a board.
Hey, I just want to know, do you guys have thought about version controlling of because the update stack, right now, the deployment is automated through CICD, what I see right now. However, if we can enable version controlling along with it.
It's also version control because it's in the Git repository.
No, it is, but then let's say we need to move from the current version to an older version. Let's say a particular code has been rolled out, and then we feel that something missed or something went wrong or it is a big disaster.
You can do that.
We need to revert back to an older version of the code.
Yeah. You could literally go back in the Git, in the commit history of your repository and just take the update set which you had in the past and then release that. You have always the full history of this. The thing is in ServiceNow, it can be tricky to undo something when it's deployed.
Right. So how do you manage a situation where, let's say, we revert back like that, and then the new change that we deployed adds some kind of data, new additions or something like that, and there may be some transactional data that happened, and then we have to revert back. Is it a manual cleanup that we need to do?
Yeah, it is.
For the transaction data, yes.
Yes.
It's a manual cleanup for the transaction data, but however, for the code, we can try and revert it back. Because everything is in Bitbucket, and in because every update set is pointing to a separate branch of the repository. So
Okay.
you have that.
Okay, understood. And so far I saw Jira and Bamboo being used. Is Bamboo certified by ServiceNow for using CICD, or is it like, I know it's open source, but I just wanted to...
Nothing is somehow certified by ServiceNow because it doesn't happen in ServiceNow. It happens outside of ServiceNow.
Right. But from a compatibility standpoint, is it certified or it just open?
It's at the end. What we do is we just extract an update set and put it into a Git repository. And
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
At the end of the day, it is just a code repository. So
Understood.
we really don't have to worry about any kind of compatibility there. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I'll just quickly go through this. So the key benefits: transparency in the development process, improved code quality because of ease of code reviewing, and the main key thing here is that it is decoupled from ServiceNow. So the entire CI/CD process, whatever the demo you saw right now, it's all outside ServiceNow. If ever in the future CI/CD is available out of the box, all you have to do is switch this off. Because we have very less intervention there. All we are trying to manage with the state transition on the update set. So that's the key point. And then, yeah, it's DevOps. Some of the challenges, again, in interest of time, I'll just go through the key ones. The key one here was the visibility that was introduced by Slack. People were not happy that there are others complaining about their code. So this was something that we had to tackle. So kind of it's all about trying to tell what is the vision behind, and failing early is better and all that stuff. That is very important. And also people were not ready to change the code which they were not touching. So this is another thing, because if you have too much of legacy code, nobody will ever clean it up. So then we kind of had to have a governance rule saying that if it is part of the change, then you have to change it, the code. Yeah? So how sweet was the success? The second one there is a little too much. It might give diabetes to somebody in a day, but I'll just try to explain that a bit. So what is happening there is it's a too huge a number because it's a comparison between manual and automation. So earlier, if we had to trigger Tosca test cases, we had to send out a mail to this test engineer, and it kind of took like 48 hours, 2 days for them to run and give us the result. So today, since it is integrated because of Bamboo, it's kind of increased. So yeah, that's the thing. And then code reviews become very easy. As you saw, it's just all in one application in Bitbucket. And then the interesting part is the last one, the percentage of declined pull requests. So currently we are comparing between 2018 and 19. Yeah. So the percentage of those declined pull requests has reduced. What it means is that people are learning from their mistakes and they are doing lesser mistakes. Yeah, because there is more number of approvals. And 2019, yeah, we still have a better half of the year yet. Yeah, that's the highlight. So just to also cover the subjective, the human aspect element, some of the quotes that we got from various roles. So yeah, the reviewer saying that, I can do it all in one screen, the product owner, the integration admin. So we have a role called integration admin in Swizzery, who basically is collecting all the update sets into an Excel sheet or something, and then doing that in various different instances going by. So we have kind of automated the entire task of that role of integration admin. Yeah. Requirements, you want to take that?
Yeah, that's the point exactly here. So, if you want to do the same, there are some requirements, and the most important one is the first one. Everything must be in code. Everything. Because it's automated. You can't say, yes, but, then it needs manual action here and there. So, there are can be no manual task. You have to somehow deal with data loads, must be also automated. System config changes, data sources. We started to use dynamic configuration. So on your dev environment, you have a property for dev test prod, and you choose by the name of the environment, you pull that corresponding property, so there is no need to change something later down in production. You have to have test cases, because how would you know if it's good or not, right? And you somehow have to group your, you have to have an application. If you do this against global, and it will go and pull everything from global, from production, you will literally have everything in that Git repository. So you have to use scoped apps or global apps for this. That's very important. Then we have, compared to the version 1, we have some new features. We capture all changes in the update set. We put it as JSON files in the Git repo. So we see all the changes, also on non-JavaScript files. The whole update set itself is also saved in the Git repo. That's from actually where we pull it and deploy it to the next environment. That's the next point. So we deploy it from the Git repository. So we tie it to the commit ID. No one can change anything. Then we have a feature that you can just say, I want to, in the scoped app, you don't work with update sets. So you changes in the scoped app, you hit the button, it creates an update set, sends it to the pipeline, all fully automated. You can now integrate the third-party tools, what we have seen. So it has some APIs which can be called from pipeline to, let's say, Bamboo talks to the CICD service to deploy something. And we have this master worker concept, so we can easily scale. So you can have multiple servers which run that application. One is actually configured as the master, all the others are workers, and you can just scale that very easily up. Then, tech stack, as said, we use the Atlassian tools, Jira, Bitbucket, Bamboo. The CICD server is now a Dockerized Node.js application. It's very easy to run it. It uses Gulp from the embedded build, Mocha for the testing. We have written an ATF REST API wrapper, which we can call from the outside. We use a headless puppeteer, which is a Chrome. And there is a CICD integration application, which you have to install as well. Then the whole thing is open source, so you can easily get a copy of it. Ooh, it's open source! Thank you, thank you. The first link is an example implementation. There's also a video where I do the same thing against GitHub. So GitHub as the code repository, you see the pull requests there, same as here, but with GitHub. So what we're going to do next is the lint rules are a little bit tricky, because there is now, we have seen that in the lint results, some global variables. This is, I mean, technically this is wrong. So how do we make lint not complain about that? We want to put the update set in an Artifactory. At Swiss Re, we use an Artifactory server, which actually has all the builds of the whole company. So we want to put it there, so we can always revert it from there back. And then the next thing was also challenging, test coverage, right? Is it enough? Is it actually tested enough? That's very, very difficult to measure. Yeah.
Yeah. So the top takeaways, pretty much, yeah, what we are talking about, the high quality and integration with the professional dev tools. But yeah, I mean, we talked a lot about the solution, but the very important thing that you should not forget is the team culture. Unless and until your developers start using it, it will not help. So that's definitely not to be underestimated because of the time. We cannot really talk a lot about it, but yeah, I would encourage you to really look into it because culture is the most important thing. Yeah, and with that, we come to the end.
Yeah, we have a meet the speaker session this afternoon at 1 p.m.
We have a question.
Before you went through all this effort, did you talk to ServiceNow to see if they had anything in their pipeline?
Yes.
Where they said,
No.
have they seen what you've done and
Yeah.
changed their minds a bit, or
Yeah.
still no?
They have. I actually get contacted by companies saying, we talked to ServiceNow and they pointed your open source project out to you to be used for this. So that's what we have at the moment now.
Yeah. The focus on the developers is just started last year from ServiceNow end, so hope to see more, yeah.
So if you have, I mean, we can, yeah.
Had the speaker session later.
Yeah, we have a speaker session later. We don't have that much time left, right?
Just one quick question. How do
Yeah,
you
sure.
sell, okay, this is heavily integrated technically, which is pretty cool. Now, how do you sell the concept of doing everything automatically to the business user? Because they usually want to see, when they test something, they want to see the screenshot, they want to see the report.
Yeah,
they
you
want
know,
to see
that what I said in the beginning is we do everything again now because we somehow did up in the past. And because it was not, no one actually had the chance to look at it. And now everything what we do again in our modernization program has to run through this. So we know we have the 4 eyes principle, someone has to look at the change, and we try to reduce the impact on an upgrade. So we're gonna lower the costs in the future to run the platform because we use a standard process to actually ensure the quality is given, right? Actually, we have to invest a lot now in doing this again, yeah?
So you mentioned that this is dependent on everything being in code, nothing manual. What do we do in instances where we have to do something manual? Schedule jobs that don't appear in update sets, anything coming from the cloud operations portal that you have to export their update set special?
That's very challenging, absolutely. So I have to admit, we also can't run this on all the cases. Some of them must have to have manual steps in it, right? You can add schedulers to an update set. You can add that works. There is this metadata link thing. So there are workarounds for that. We also do if you have to run some scripts during a deployment, what we did is we came up with, we added that as a scheduled job, which runs once every time you deploy it, and then it disables the scheduled job after that. So there are some ways to do this. We would actually love to see the platform supporting it better.
Yeah. Just one last thing on that. You can also have import sets where you can attach the XMLs and it can run only once. Even that is possible. Yeah.
Boris, Rajiv, thank you. Fantastic.
very much.
You guys, thank you.
Yeah,
very much.
thank you.
for-
Please join us 1 o'clock.
Please, really quick reminder, please fill out the survey for this session, and lunch will be between 11:30 and 1:30 in Hall G. So you have about 20 minutes if you're going to other sessions to find those rooms as well. Have a great conference, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.